Hi everyone, this is Bai Ling. As you know me from a lot of movies, especially The Crow. And please watch Horror Squad podcast.
Why, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Squad podcast. This is episode number 338, where tonight we are going to be talking about 2024's MaXXXine. Of course, the end of a trilogy of Ty West's sleazy porn kind of trilogy, I suppose. We're going to get into it later on, but I am here, of course, as always, with Steve and Todd. Gentlemen, how was your week?
Good, very good. Good weekend. Had some homies over. We did some movie night, watched 3 movies, and we also worked on our secret project. So that was fun.
Very nice. How were your 4th of July's? We recorded before 4th of July, so.
Mine's low key. My family's on vacation. I can't go because I gotta watch the pets and go to work and all that stuff. But it's awesome because I always have like throughout the year or whatever a stack of movies that I own but I've never watched. So it was like 20 deep, and I whittled it down to about 6 or 7 more to go. So that's fun. So I just hung out and ate some food and watched movies.
Yeah, we went to a friend's house. My buddy Jason, his wife Ashley. They had a little pool party going on. They also throw in their town. They throw like this huge 4th of July parade. So we did that. And Sam did a 2-mile road race that they do like prior to the parade. So yeah, it was a good time.
Just
Nothing
getting
too.
our fitness on, dude.
Yeah, indeed,
Hey.
indeed.
Did you wear your Speedo to the pool?
No, I wore my Jaws. Of course, had to wear the Jaws tuxedo
Nice.
outfit I have to the pool. So yeah, it was kind of an overcast day. It wasn't as, but still jumped in the pool. It wasn't as hot as I had wished, but yeah, it was good. And then yeah, no fireworks. I'm kind of become, the older I get, I've become more anti-firework. I feel like they're just fucking loud now and obnoxious. So like even at the parade, like I don't know if you guys do this or if this is just like a New England thing, but there are like Minutemen in the parade that like go and they shoot off muskets. Like I don't know if all parades do that or if that's a New England
We
thing, but
had like the ROTC with their like
okay.
fake guns, but not the colonials or anything.
Yeah, we have like like every parade around here always has like colonials and reenactments, and they shoot off the old muskets with the gunpowder and shit, and it's so fucking loud. And this year, like I actually had to cover my ears because like I'm just like I'm an old man now. I can't.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah. So
Just turn your hearing aid down next time.
right, exactly. But yeah, a program note too. Some of you guys might be confused. Last week's episode, we did say we were going to be doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation this week. However, we're all able to get out to see MaXXXine this weekend, so we decided to switch it up last minute. Always a surprise on this show. You just never know what you're going to get. So there you have it. But we are going to be reviewing Texas Chainsaw Massacre next week is the plan. However, the highly anticipated Longlegs is coming out this weekend. I'm definitely planning on going to see it.
So am I.
Yeah,
Dude, those fucking trailers have just sold me.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's fucking interesting. Maybe not this week, but something. I mean, it's 100% currently 100 sitting at 100% around Tomatoes. A lot of buzz, a lot of big buzz around it. I'm very excited because they have done a great job of not showing Nicolas Cage like once. So I have no idea what Nicolas Cage is going to look like in this movie at all. I heard Michael Monroe is brilliant in it. So, and Oz Perkins has been pretty solid so far. I know Steve might not agree. Of course, he's the biggest Gretel and Hansel hater, I think, amongst us. So, but yeah, also he did Black Coat's Daughter, for those of you who've seen that, and among other things. And then I found out he was in Legally Blonde the other day, which kind of blew my mind, as like the creepy weird dude. But anyway, I digress, gentlemen. Yeah, let's move on. Let's get into it. What watched? I'm going to forgo our news this week. Didn't feel like there was anything of note to report on. So if there's anything important, we'll get back to it next week. But for now, what watched? What you been watching, gentlemen?
Satan. Joseph, time to discuss the amazing, what country is it? Argentina?
Turkey.
Exorcist, shot for shot remake / ripoff whatever you want to call it. Man, this movie, like honestly, in my letterbox review, I thought it was pretty fucking cool. Like the low budgetness of it was awesome. Like a foreign film being like kind of creepy and the makeup's cool. But the problem is like it's a literal ripoff. Like I think Joe mentioned it somewhere that if you've seen The Exorcist, you've seen this movie, and literally you have because it's shot for shot. They change a little bit stuff around because different religions, so it's not really like totally Christian based or Catholic based, whatever you want to call it. But man, like it's insane like how closely it matches the source material. And it was only like a year after it came out too. So they whoever made this fucking loved Exorcist, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, of course, our punishment movie here. So thank you, Steve. I was very excited, man. I love The Exorcist. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. So I was excited to check it out. And yeah, I mean, it's just needless at the end of the day. Like it really is like it would have been cool had they did at least something slightly different, but I mean, literally, they use tubular bells like right off the bat. They like it's just like a really, really cheaply dumbed down version, like of The Exorcist in every way. And I think I wrote this in my letterbox review that like you might have like all of it's a great example that you can have all the right ingredients, but if you don't execute it well, it's not going to be good. And, obviously you watch The Exorcist and you watch this, like shot for shot remakes. And this is like almost unwatchable. Like it's cool because it's cool, I think, because we've seen The Exorcist, right? Had we not seen The Exorcist, I feel like this would have just been downright unwatchable.
I disagree with you there.
Okay.
I disagree. I like the effort that they put in. The reason I don't think it's a good film is because it literally is a copy of The Exorcist. And for your points, yeah, you got all the, everything in place. You literally have a script. You literally have like all the building blocks. And when you execute it poorly, it's like, obviously going to be bad. But I think if Exorcist didn't exist and we just had this movie, I think this would be like a hidden 70s foreign gem, man, because it's got I mean, it's hard, but like think if Exorcist didn't exist. You got the head turning scene, you got the vomit on the face, you got all the good shit in there. If you didn't see it already 10 times better in Exorcist, I think you would have liked it. Well, at least personally, I would have liked it if it was a standalone because I didn't hate it. I just hated it to the extent that it copied the Exorcist and did it poorly.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point and something I didn't really think about. So I'm down with you on that. Overall, I'm still giving it a 1.5 out of 5, just because I didn't have a good time watching. I enjoyed it for a little bit, right? Because like seeing like a shot for shot remake, but after a while, I was just like it started to really wear down on me of just like the repetitiveness of it all and being like, I've seen this before, but better. Yeah, I think if you are a diehard like Exorcist fan, like watch it, right? Because it's just fun to see like a shot for shot for like foreign remake, but if you're not, like, I wouldn't even waste my time.
I give it a 2.5 out of 5, man. I think it's really cool if it was like by itself. Now, would you put this above Exorcist Believer? I personally would. Believer can suck my balls.
No, I wouldn't.
But I think Satan is way better than this one. Or Satan.
No.
Let's call it Satan. Satan.
No, I wouldn't put it above any of the
Come on.
Exorcist
Are you
sequels.
serious?
Yeah, no.
You liar.
I wouldn't. I'd watch maybe The Heretic, I suppose, but other than that, I can't say I'd put it above any of the others. I don't even think I'd put it above Heretic, honestly.
All right. Well, teach his own. Satan over on
Tubi.
Yep. Tubular Bells, Tubi. Coincidence?
Ooh.
All right, my first one, I'll keep going here, is a rewatch that we covered 2-3 years ago. And it's Uncle Sam. Watched it on Happy the 4th of July in the morning. Yeah, if you haven't listened to our episode or seen the movie, it's about a soldier that gets killed by friendly fire. His body's finally found, taken back to his hometown, and he's like evil and he comes back to life. And he's got his sister that hates him because he's abusive. And he got his ex-wife that hates him because he's abusive. And then you have his nephew that loves him because young boys tend to look up to soldiers and they don't know that he's like a wife abuser and potential child molester. They kind of play with that a little bit, but they don't go that far. So it's about Jody, the boy who's a little fucking dweeb. I hate him. He's annoying as hell. He wants to be like a soldier, Marine, or Air Force or something like that. And then you got Chef from South Park. He plays a character, ex-soldier, lost his leg, and is trying to tell Jody, being in the military is not what all it's cracked up to be. And then meanwhile, Uncle Sam, he's running around. His name's literally Sam, so Uncle Sam makes sense. Plus 4th of July, and he's running around killing people because he's angry. It's fucking cool, man. I like it, but like the more you watch it, the more of the weird ass shit you see, and it's hard to overlook. There's a kid in the wheelchair that out of nowhere he's a character, right? Like he's not mentioned at all. There's not some weird backstory or flashback. He's a blind kid in a wheelchair, and allegedly or supposedly whatever, he got hurt playing with fireworks, and he's got like clairvoyance or something. Like he senses when people are like he'll be sitting in the chair creeping out and be like, he's coming right now. I'm like, shut up, you little freak. There's some weird child molestation vibes going on here between Jody and a couple of adult male characters where I don't know if that was intentional or not. But when you go to the special features, they actually make a little quick featurette where they edit together to make it seem like that's exactly what's happening. So it's fucking weird, man. Like I don't understand it. All the weird shit aside, though, I do like Uncle Sam. I think he's pretty cool. And there's an awesome scene where a creeper is on like 12-foot stilts, and he's he's looking at a girl through a window, and she's in her bedroom, but she literally has a sink right next to her bed. And it's the weirdest fucking house feature. I've never seen that before. 3 out of 5. I watched it on Blu-ray. Not sure where it's streaming.
All right, I'll go next. So my first one this week is a continuation of my year-long project where I asked people on Discord to send me a recommendation for each month. So this was the recommendation for July, and it was actually a recommendation by Joe. And this is 2018's The Clove Hitch Killer. So this is a story of a father and son. Well, it's a whole family actually, but it focuses more on the father and son. They're like Boy Scouts or Eagles or whatever the fuck they are. And he's kind of just, the father's teaching his son the ways of being a good Christian and, a good man who's trying to become a pilot in the Air Force. But he needs to have like leadership skills and camps and stuff like that for him to apply to the Air Force. And he's kind of just helping him out through all that. But through a series of events, he finds out that there's something weird with his dad. And one of the things that's happening in this town is that there was a serial killer by the name of the Clove Hitch Killer who killed multiple victims over the span of a few years, but then like stopped cold turkey. And this story kind of happens 10 years later. But he starts finding some stuff that kind of points towards his dad maybe being the Clove Hitch Killer. And the rest of the story plays out as he tries to figure out more about his dad. He gets someone from his school who's into true crime to help him out and figure out the mystery, and then the story goes through a series of swerves and plot twists leading to a climactic ending, which I won't spoil. So I'd never seen this one before, so I was happy to finally watch it, and it was good. Dylan McDermott, who plays the dad, fucking fantastic, absolutely awesome role. He plays the like overly he really plays like the dad role. He's like cheesy, and he like tries to put his foot down to make sure his son lives a proper life, but at the same time he like when his son starts seeing a woman or he thinks his son is jacking off, he's almost like chuckling because he's like, I used to be 16 too, and they even have like the sex speech at one point, and such a fucking awkward scene. Like I felt like I was getting the sex speech, even though I'm just fucking watching it in a movie. He's so fucking good. Dylan, like really great role with him, and the son is also good as well. My issue with the film is they do this thing where the story kind of leads somewhere, and all of a sudden they like stop it, like it leads to like this like kind of intense scene, and then they stop it there, and it's one of those like, here's how we got to this point. So they like go back in time, I don't know, like a week, and then they explain it the same series of events but through someone else's eyes. And I don't know, man, I don't love when people do that. It's done sometimes really well, but in this one it just kind of felt anticlimactic, and it kind of like took the wind out of the sails of the story. But it's still a pretty cool investigation horror. I was really interested to see whether the dad was the Clove Hitch Killer or not, and if he's not, who actually is the Clove Hitch Killer. It was an interesting film, so I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5, and I would recommend checking it out. It wasn't available streaming. I got it on VOD, so yeah, check it out.
It's a good movie. I think Joe and I both have it at a 4 on Letterboxd.
I believe so, yeah. It's a good one. All right. My first and only one tonight, I guess, is 2024 release, a movie called Love Lies Bleeding, starring Miss Kristen Stewart. This one also directed by Rose Glass. For you Saint Maud fans out there, that is one of the main reasons I checked this out as well. I will say right off the bat, before getting the plot synopsis, it's not really a horror movie, but it definitely it skews horror in some ways here and there. But yeah, so this one takes place, I want to say like 70s-ish, in I believe it's Oklahoma, sort of a, very small rednecky type town. We have our main character here, played by Kristen Stewart. She works at a gym. One day, this other young girl comes in who is a bodybuilder. Essentially, she's trying to become sort of the next, the female version of Arnold Schwarzenegger, if you will. And yeah, so the two of them end up, sort of falling for each other. She starts living with Kristen Stewart because she's sort of a drifter. And what ends up happening is, I don't want to get too spoilery because it's a new movie. I'll just say a murder takes place and they have to cover up this murder. And essentially, stuff starts to spiral from there and shit gets pretty crazy. This movie also has Ed Harris in it as well. Very good cast. And overall, I ended up really enjoying this one. Like I said, I'm not going to put it on my top. Honestly, right now, it would be in my top 10 if I considered it horror. I don't consider it horror. I would say it's just a pretty solid crime drama, sort of. So yeah, I highly recommend it though. So yeah, check it out. That's Love Lies Bleeding. Not available free anywhere, but you can rent it for, I think it's $4.99 over on Amazon Prime or wherever.
Question about that movie. Do the
Yes.
ladies bump uglies together?
Oh, indeed.
Interesting.
Indeed.
Interesting.
Nudity.
Oh.
You see breastises.
More than one. Okay.
Yes. You see a lot
Buttholes? Any
of
buttholes?
lovemaking, female on female, female on male. I don't believe any male on male, but there is a lot of
You can watch
lovemaking.
the
You enjoy
Zendaya
it.
movie for that one. Want the male on
Yeah,
male action.
apparently I'm not. Sam watched that
Challengers.
this weekend. I didn't see it, but she said it was a good movie. She said it wasn't as sexy as she thought it was going to be, though. So I had seen a lot of people talking about the sexiness, but she was
I
disappointed.
mean,
Apparently.
Zendaya's pretty hot, so.
Indeed.
All right, so I'm gonna do a little double feature here, and we've covered. I don't know, Steve, you know the history more than I do, but we've covered Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2 before, right?
Yes, we have.
All right, cool. So a couple months ago, I bought a Blu-ray at a con that was a fan edit of Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2 combined. It adds deleted scenes with it from both of them, and then it cuts quite a bit of bullshit out of both of them, which are usually the same issues that everyone has, right? Especially Halloween 2, where you have a lot of like the visions, right? You see Sherry Moon Zombie in like a fucking unicorn or something. She's in a white dress and she's like, "Come hang out with me," and stuff like that. So you only see her in a flashback once, and it's briefly. So they completely removed that segment out of Rob Zombies 2. They add some cool deleted scenes. They mix and match stuff like that. The problems I still have with it naturally are like the over the top white trash angle that Rob Zombie loves to fucking do. Like there's no reason to have the stepdad be a giant piece of shit every single line that he has, right? He can do one, he can do two, and it'll get the point across that he's a lazy piece of shit and he's also like, preying on young women, stuff like that. We know he's bad, right? But to have every line like fucking, "I'm gonna crawl over there, skull fuck you. I'm gonna beat your, gay slur ass," and stuff like that. It's like so over the top. Unfortunately, that's still left in. But after that, man, the movie fucking rocks, dude. Like this is a really cool edit that if anyone can get their hands on, I would highly recommend it. Although they got shut down to copyright violations, so I doubt you can get the Blu-ray anymore. But I've always had a soft spot for Rob Zombie's Halloween Part 2, and I think with this edit taking all or most of the bullshit out, I think it really improves the film. And it was really neat to see the seamless transition from Part 1 and Part 2, because when you see it like that, Zombie does a really good job of showing, the before and after and the PTSD and how Annie and Lori both deal with it separately. I think we both all mentioned that Annie was a more interesting character in Part 2. Like she was like more likable, and Lori was kind of messed up and just kind of annoying. But yeah, it fixes a lot of problems, like I said, and I highly recommend it. That being said, it's not the canon cut, right? Rob Zombie's 2 still exists the way he wanted his vision to be, so you still have that movie out there. But I think if you cut all that crap out, it's a really good film. So I have them both sitting at 3.5 out of 5 right now.
All right. My final film this week is another 60s film, as we're getting very close to that episode, about a month and a half until we do that episode. And I'm trying to fill my list as much as I can with kind of the classics, I guess. So this one is a movie I own on DVD. It is 1963's The Haunting. So The Haunting, I mean, it's a classic. The story is basically there is this guy who he finds this like haunted house that a bunch of people died in, and he wants to prove the existence of ghosts. So he goes there along with people that he believes have some kind of psychic power that could help him kind of prove the existence of ghosts, along with also a like one of the owners of the house also goes with them. It's like the nephew of the owner, because that was one of the conditions that the owner put on him, because she was afraid that he was inviting two women and was going to do something to them, so he wanted some kind of male to, kind of watch over him. So they go to this house and they start experiencing, ghost phenomena, and they try to figure out what's going on. Meanwhile, one of the women is has some kind of deep connection with the house, and it explores a lot from her perspective how the ghosts are kind of treating her and why she's there and all that stuff. So that's basically the gist of the story. A little side note that's interesting, I know Todd likes to do this as well, is this film was released 61 years ago, and I always like to see like what happened to the actors since then, to see how they died and all that kind of stuff, because I'm a little bit morbid. Half this cast is still alive in 2024. The movie was
Wow.
released 61 years ago. That's fucking crazy. Like, so I was really, and the ones who did die all died in like the 2010s. So I guess good good survivability on this cast. So my feelings towards it, I mean, obviously it's a classic. I saw it in college. I remember it's one of the films that my teachers like presented, because it's so important to film history and to horror history. Inspires a ton of movies that came after it. Also, I very obviously an inspiration for Disney's A Haunted Mansion, like the attraction. There's a lot of things that happen in this movie that they show in that attraction, so that was cool to see as well. This movie also has fucking gorgeous sets, just a really cool aesthetic, a great sound, and the performances are all solid. My issue with it, though, and why I guess my score is lower than some might expect, is I find it a little long-winded. It's almost 2 hours long, and there's not a whole lot that happens. It's a lot of then pondering what's going on rather than things actually going on. And I do believe in the mantra of less is more sometimes. That's something that made Jaws successful. But I think in this case, there's a little too little of actual things that happen. And I think it could have benefited from a little bit more, I guess, explanation or something a little more like physical in the terms of like the supernatural elements of the film. So I did give it a 3.5 stars out of 5. It is still a classic. It's still one I'll probably watch again in the future, but I don't know if it'll make at least my top 5 of the 60s. We'll see. So that's The Haunting, 1963, which you can watch on VOD, I believe.
And to be here in the US, I just
Oh,
added to my
nice.
list. Yep.
Excellent. All right, that it, gentlemen?
Yep.
All righty. Todd, bust out the books, baby.
All right, let me flip through the pages here. Find quarter number 3. Joe in a commanding lead with 3. Steve in second place with 2. Myself third
that-
with 1. It's
Is that
commanding.
commanding?
Commanding over me. I mean, it's a 2-point lead.
All right.
I was trying to give you a bump, but
Thank
okay.
you.
Who would like to lead off today?
I can lead us off.
Oh.
All righty. So, question number 1. Might have a theme tonight.
What movie did we watch? Oh, yeah, MaXXXine. Okay. High West theme.
All right. Question number 1. What is the name of the porno they are filming in X?
Farmer's Daughter?
Correct.
Yes.
Yay. All right, I'll go. I need to know how this happened, okay?
Mhm.
In Pet Sematary 2, starring Edward Furlong, how did his mom die?
She got electrocuted.
Damn it. Yep. Good job.
Mhm.
I actually
Yes.
watched it.
Great
all-
scene. Great opening
Yeah,
scene.
you know
pretty
what? Pet
disturbing.
Sematary 2 kicks ass, dude. I
Yeah.
liked it a lot.
I
Just
think
watched
it's a
it
good
this
one.
weekend.
Nice.
All right. Well, thank you, Kayla, for the last 2 weeks, but I am
Kayla.
back. I was not lazy this week. I made my own questions. So that means, of course, my first one is a guessed movie by the IMDb Parental Guide, starting with some sex and
Oh,
nudity.
yes.
2 teenagers kiss in a basement while the boy puts his hand inside the
Oh.
girl's blouse and touches her breasts. But
Naturally.
they are interrupted by a noise.
Psycho 2.
Correct. I've done this
Wow.
before, right?
No, you haven't. Have you asked that before?
I think so. And then, now that as I was reading, I'm like, I think I said the exact same thing.
Really? I don't know. It just popped in my mind instantly.
Yeah, since they
Psycho 2 is fucking legit.
yeah, it is. Since they mentioned it like by name or kind of in the MaXXXine, so like
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
the sequel to Psycho just got filmed here a year ago.
That's right.
That's 83. Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty. Back to me. Guess the movie based on the IMDb information.
Mhm.
This movie was released in the year 2018 with an R rating, clocking in at 2 hours and 32 minutes.
It's a
Good
long one.
Lord.
Gee whiz.
Currently sitting at a 6.7 out of 10 over on IMDb. Categorized as psychological horror, supernatural horror, witch horror, drama, fantasy, and mystery.
Is it The Witch?
It is not.
Darn it.
Right.
Hmm.
Director, Luca Giadaggino.
Luca
Definitely butchering-
Diageo.
That doesn't help at all.
Luca Giadaggino. I'm definitely
Di Gennaro.
butchering that.
DiGiorno.
Starring Dakota Johnson,
Dakota Johnson.
Angela Winkler, Mia Goth, Elena Fokina, and Chloe Grace Moretz.
Okay, keep going.
Right?
I think I know. I think I know, but since
Okay.
Todd already answered, I'm gonna let him go.
All
Well, you
right.
can guess. I mean,
And tagline.
I could, but will I?
Tagline. Tremble, tremble. The witches are back.
Suspiria?
It is Suspiria.
Yeah.
nice.
Mia Goth. That's what gave it away for me.
Still haven't seen that one.
All
Oh,
right.
it's good.
My turn?
Nope. Yeah, it is. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I might pick that for review sometime, Todd. On one of my next ones
Well,
coming
I'll
up.
watch it. I'll watch it.
All right. Make you watch it.
All right. So, in Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween Part 2,
Seen it?
you've all seen it. Who tries to kill Dr. Loomis at one of his book signings?
Oh.
Laurie
Oh.
Strode.
Incorrect.
No, it's the father of one of the victims.
You're
but
almost there.
I can't remember the exact victim,
Almost there.
but it's that's all I got. It's the father. Oh, it's the father of what's her name? It's PJ Soul's character. but in
Correct.
this
Linda.
one- Linda. Yeah.
Nice.
Played by Christina Klebe.
Yes, Christina Cleveland.
All right. Guess the movie based off the cast or supporting cast, because I'm gonna leave out the main cast.
Okay.
Lauren Laverne, Chris Martin,
The
Coldplay.
singer from Same joke.
Martin Freeman,
Oh, Bilbo.
Bill Nighy,
Uh,
Trisha Goddard,
Name sounds familiar.
Lucy Davis,
C.
Nope.
Davis.
and Kate Ashfield.
No bueno.
I feel like it's that movie we watched. That was like anthology based.
Oh, Ghost Story?
It's not.
It's not. Oh.
I was helping Joe. That wasn't good. Just kidding. I was. Damn it.
All right.
All right. You guys want a hint? It's gonna reset the counter though, Todd.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm leaving out the two main actors of the film because it would easily give it away.
It was Freeman and who else? There was another big actor you mentioned in there too.
I mean, they're all Bill Nighy's a big one. Chris Martin is from Coldplay.
Okay, it is Chris Martin from Coldplay.
Yeah,
Was
Lauren
it?
Laverne's
Did we get a
big.
year from it?
This was the 2000s, I believe.
Lauren Laverne, who's that?
It's who everyone thought Lauren Lavera was. So
right.
the rumors were that she was actually like 50 or something. And everyone's like, you look so young.
Is it Shaun of the Dead?
It is.
Yeah.
Oh,
Martin
nice.
Yeah. Sweet. His little crew that walks by, that's like the clones.
Yeah, Chris Martin actually plays a zombie in it.
Oh, he does?
Wow.
He does.
I know Martin Freeman is like Simon Pegg's equivalent in that one, right?
Right.
Cool.
Back to me.
Yep.
Alrighty. Finally tonight, 3 Letterboxd reviews.
Oh.
Can you guess the movie? This is going to be My American Psycho. Number 2. Goodbye, Hot Girl Summer. Hello, Feral Girl Fall.
Feral Girl.
And number 3. This is basically The Wizard of Oz, but if Dorothy was so horny
Pearl?
that she started killing people, it is Pearl.
Yeah. I thought that was the last one. I'm like, no way he's asking Pearl. For some reason, I didn't think you'd go there.
Pearl.
All Mia Goth related trivia.
Okay.
All right. Rob Zombie night in Rob Zombie's Halloween Part 1.
Seen it.
What is the name of young Michael's pet rat
Oh.
that he brutally kills, mind you? Which is another gripe I have with the film. You don't need to have Michael be a fucking animal cruelty or what's cruelty? What is the fucking term? Abuse animals. You don't need to have him do that. Come on, man. It works so much better where he snaps for no reason. But anyway,
I don't remember him killing the rat.
Yeah. So the rat's name is Scabbers because he's a big Harry Potter fan.
Oh.
He's not a big Harry Potter fan. But I will give you a hint. Think Rob Zombie in his other films that he has obsession and he has characters talk about this very person or people. He has well, you're gonna talk about blank that way. He's the best and shit like that.
Elvis?
Correct. Fuck, damn it.
Nice. Yeah, it's on fire this one.
Yeah,
mounting that comeback.
Yeah.
All right.
Bang, bang.
Pretty simple one. I don't know if you guys know this. What is Wednesday Addams' middle name?
Wow.
Wednesday.
Was this revealed in the show?
It's revealed both in the show, the original show in the 60s, but also in the recent Wednesday show. I don't know if it was mentioned in the movies.
Okay. Yeah, I got nothing.
Tuesday.
Wrong.
Wednesday, Tuesday.
Yeah, you guys want another guess or no?
Is it is it hintable? Like it's a fruit.
I mean, yeah, it'd be too easy if I hinted it, I think.
What's the first letter?
F.
F.
Francine.
Wrong.
Dang it.
I'm not even going to venture a guess. No. Yep.
So you're actually close, Todd. It's actually Wednesday, Friday.
Oh, wow.
Dang it.
All right, going to
Wednesday,
odds.
Friday. Okay. Weirdos. All right. Good night. Good showing. 3 for Joe, 3 for me, 2 for Steve, which puts us at Joe 6. Steve and I tied at 4. So so far, quarter number 3 is coming out hot, especially Joe.
All right, baby. Let's do it.
Let's get it.
All right. It is now time, ladies and gentlemen, for our main event of the evening, 2024's MaXXXine, directed by Ty West, starring Mia Goth, of course, Kevin Bacon, Giancarlo Esposito, who you might know as Gus, aka Gus Fring, Moses Sumney, Michelle Monaghan, and Bobby Cavallare. I don't know. I can't pronounce the damn man's name. But you've seen him in a lot of stuff. He's kind of that.
He's that guy.
Handsome Italian guy, I would call him. But plotline. In 1980s Hollywood, adult film star and aspiring actress Maxine Minks finally gets her big break. But as a mysterious killer stalks the starlets of Hollywood, a trail of blood threatens to reveal her sinister past. Todd, you like plots.
I do like plots.
And you love to give them.
I'm a big plot guy. The
Let's
movie's
hear
got to
it.
have the plot, or I'm not watching it. Actually, that's a very good summary. Finally, from is that IMDb or Letterboxd?
IMDb.
All right, cool. Yeah, basically, I mean, it goes without being said. I think you need to watch X, at least X, to get this film, because it has a lot of context that you would miss if you don't watch it. But yeah, we got Maxine. She's living in LA in the 80s. She's trying her acting bug, right? Because she always wanted to be a star. And it turns out she's a big name in the porn industry, and she's trying to break into mainstream films. She's going to auditions. She has an agent played by Juan Carlo Esposito, who the hair was a little bit difficult to get over. His little comb slick back thing ain't going on. But she finally gets an audition for a horror film that I think it's a sequel. So I think the first one was like a hit or something. But yeah, it's gonna be a big deal. And there's this young female director. It's like, we got to fucking make this thing good. And I'm fighting for you. And the studio doesn't want you because you're a porn star. And eventually she lands the gig, and she's super fucking pumped. Meanwhile, there's a killer. What's his fucking name? What's his name?
The Night Stalker, is that what you're
Night Stalker. Yeah.
Yeah, Night Stalker.
He's going around in LA, and there's a lot of newscasts going on like, hey, watch out, the Night Stalker's here. Meanwhile, Maxine has some friends. She has this dude that she hangs out with. He works at a video rental store. Pretty cool. She has some other girls that she hangs out with too, aspiring actresses and whatnot. They start going disappearing because they're going to parties and stuff. Is it connected? I don't know. Then we got Kevin Bacon, who's a private detective, and he's like, hey, Maxine, like, you're gonna come to this fucking house, or we're gonna like send you to jail for the murders in Texas. And I'm kind of sleazy, and I'm very sleazy. And I work for someone that you won't even guess because it doesn't make any fucking sense. But we might tip our hand at the start of the movie. I don't know. We'll see. And yeah, she's just going through life trying to be this movie star and dealing with what happened in Texas at the ranch or whatever. And Kevin Bacon trying to get her to fucking, I don't know, turn herself in or some shit like that. Yeah, really liked / loved X. Hated Pearl, and I didn't know where I was going to be at this one. I wanted to love it so much. Like, it's in the 80s. It looks fucking slick. The music is awesome. Hit or miss on Mia Goth, but I thought she fucking killed it in this. And it got, Kevin Bacon. Come on, man. It's got a lot of cool little spices in the cabinet there. But overall, man, I was, halfway in this. I'm like, is there going to be any horror in this horror movie? And I was just like sitting there, just going through the motions, just watching it. Like, yeah, it looked good on tape. It looked good on the big screen. Sounded great, felt great, but just the substance wasn't there. And then the ending and the whole reveal was like, I was like, what the fuck is this? Dumb as hell. So overall, I enjoyed it, but not as a direct sequel to a really good horror film, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so obviously really enjoyed X. I loved Pearl. So I was really excited to see how this trilogy was going to sort of wrap up here. And I'm mainly right there with you, Todd. Yeah, man, I think the movie looks great. Like, stylistically fantastic. Like, he captured the 80s feel like just absolutely perfectly, like 80s Hollywood, just the sleaziness of it all and everything. I thought was great. Mia Goth, fantastic in this. I think the issue here is like everyone else just seems like rather meh to me, like unimportant. Like it's my issue lies with all of the sort of side characters here. Because I thought like every time Mia Goth is like on screen, which is a lot of the movie, don't get me wrong, but like all of the characters she's interacting with are just rather uninspired or like uninteresting. Especially first of all, I think this movie's a little too long. Like I think it felt like it was 2 hours, even though it wasn't. Like I feel like the runtime started to wane on me a little bit. But like the cop characters, completely unnecessary. I think they could have completely done without those two characters at all. They didn't really add anything to the story. I love Kevin Bacon, but I just felt like he yucked it up a little too much in it. I mean, he seemed like he was having fun, but I just feel like the character was weird. There was also some really weird tonal scenes in this, and we'll get into it. Like the nut crushing scene in particular just felt really out of place to me. Yeah, like I'm kind of going off here. But I mean, I did enjoy the movie. Like, I still think it was a good, fun movie. But I think for the end of a trilogy that was like the first two movies were just great. And then this kind of fell off. And I don't know what went wrong here, but something definitely did. And I know we're gonna get more into it and dive into it more. But I came out of this being like, okay, I had fun with it and it was enjoyable, but there was just something missing for me slightly with this one.
Yeah, I'm more along the lines of Todd with this one in the sense that I loved X, but I did not like Pearl. So I was curious where this would land. I figured it would probably land closer to X because this is MaXXXine's story rather than Pearl's story, which X was kind of also about. And yeah, there's a lot of great things, but you guys touch on it. The 80s vibe, fucking perfect. It captured the grittiness of like LA in the 80s in a really, really cool way. In the same way that Todd Phillips captured the 70s in Joker. I thought Ty West did a good job of the 80s in this one. The music was great. I love, love, love that the majority of the film is spent on like movie sets. Like you have the Universal backlot, the WB backlot. You even go to Hollywood Forever Cemetery at one point for some of the kills. It was very iconic Los Angeles locations, and I thought that was really cool and added to like Hollywood was kind of probably one of the best characters in this story, and all that was done super well. And I was honestly super into it. Like my score, I even thought to myself at one point, like my score is going to be pretty high on this. I'm really liking where it's going. But the last act to me like kind of hurt the film. There, like Todd said, the reveal did nothing for me, like nothing. And they were kind of like teasing the reveal so much as to who this like guy was that I was kind of expecting, to be honest, a big actor. The fact that it ended up being, and I'll say it now because we spoil in the reviews, the fact that it being just ended up being her father was like too obvious, and the fact that he's not really a known actor, at least nothing special that I remember him from, kind of make it like who the fuck cares? And I agree with you, Joe. The cop characters did nothing to the story for me. I would have left it just as this sleazy guy is going after MaXXXine and her crew, and I actually liked her crew. Giancarlo Esposito I thought was actually really good in this. I kind of have a little bit of fatigue with him because he appears in fucking everything now. He's in Star Wars, he's in Marvel, he's in everything, like The Boys, like everything I watch he has a fucking role in. So I have a little bit of like fatigue with him. But in this, I thought he was different enough that I could kind of accept it. And I love the dude who plays he's the guy who had the dogs. He plays the Rock in the Young Rock. So I remember him from that. And I like that dude too. I wish we had seen more of him. But the end was just such a fucking letdown. Not only in the lack of kills, and the lack of accountability in a way, but also just the reveal, and that hurt the films. It's too bad, but overall, I would say I enjoyed it.
I think we should talk about the end a little bit later because there's a ton to digest in that.
Oh yeah.
But right off the bat, like I think, well, at least for me, and I think a lot of horror fans. Shout out to the dude I met at the theater. We talked afterwards, pretty cool. But like, you have the Night Stalker, right? Which is a huge fucking deal and like a huge thing in like American history, right? Or at least Hollywood history, things like that. And then you have MaXXXine, who we know is a fucking psycho or a potential psycho. You know what I mean? So like, you think from the trailer alone that this is going to combine the two somehow, whether they're linking up, they're fighting, whatever it is, but it's going to be an epic bloodbath because Night Stalker obviously a piece of shit. MaXXXine, she has the potential to be a fucking nightmare. So it's going to mix and it's going to explode. And for that not to happen, that alone is just like a giant fucking letdown. I know we have the dad's supposed to be the Night Stalker, right? In this like alternate universe, or no? Or is that still happening?
Yeah, because we see the Night Stalker get arrested.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a news footage, like the real Night Stalker. But so her dad
Got
is
it.
not even part of it. So the whole Night Stalker thing
It's just
is
a
basically just like
red
Batman,
herring.
like people are afraid of just his presence being there. But in real, it has nothing to do with the story really at
It's
all,
lame.
other than yeah.
So I think the better film is exactly what I described. Like you have them link up somehow, or even too, if you want to do like a nod to our current climate 2024 2023 and so on with like the Let's Not, or I mean not Let's Not, Us Too or Us Me Too or whatever the fuck it was called, Me Too, there you go. like you have Maxine go in this vile environment for women in the 70s in Hollywood, and and to now some can argue, but you have her go in that situation and maybe clean it up, and she becomes a slasher that you want to root for. Like I thought that would have been fucking sick if she's in there like, hey, you suck my dick and you'll get in this fucking picture. Nope, she goes on a killing spree and kills some sleazeball executives. That could have been such a fucking cool angle where everyone could have rooted for it. You could have had her shine with her fucking great acting skills in this movie, plus some awesome kills, have some Harvey Weinstein lookalikes get, you know what I mean? Like, but why you miss this opportunity for a dad character, which correct me if I'm wrong, but that's not referenced in any other film, right? Like a big thing? Or is he an
He's an
X?
X. Yeah,
He's an X.
Is he like a
Yeah.
big deal in X?
He's the one on
videos,
the TV all
Yeah.
the time. Like he's that crazy pastor and
Okay, but it's not like a fucking like something we should be rooting for to come in part 3, right? It's just
no,
I don't know.
yeah,
It's weird.
no. Like it's
Well-
just like it's a way to kind of bring X into it, and you
Do
know
you need it?
I mean, she ran away from home, right? She like escaped her dad's like religious sort of cult thing. So I mean, but no, I don't think you need it. But also, I don't think like is Maxine like really that psychotic? Like really, she was just trying to survive.
I think she has the
in
potential to be,
X.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, she killed everyone in X. Like, well, who she kills? She kills, Howard and Pearl. But like, I never like it was just her trying to survive. Like, I never felt like she had like psychotic tendencies, really.
Well,
And I
she
know it
clearly
gets a
has
little.
some kind of mental imbalance, though. The way she
Does
acts,
she?
just outside of that.
Well, I mean, the nut crushing scene, which I felt was really, I really like. I felt that scene, right? But like, I just felt like it was like totally just like bizarre to me. Like, it just felt out of place.
It felt like a fucking studio interference. Like,
Yeah, it
we
like
need
didn't
another
make
kill in here. Like,
why is it this dude like just randomly fucking stalking her and like anyway, and he's just like, oh, I'm messing around or whatever. Like I'm like that's fucking bizarro. Like it just felt really weird.
It was for as
Yeah.
effective as it was. I agree. It didn't add to the plot at all because we never got that
Yeah.
callback, right?
Yeah, it was just seemed
Uh.
rather unnecessary. I will say like kudos to him for making 3 completely different movies in this trilogy. Like no movie is like you have the X is like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Pearl is sort of its own unique thing. I feel like this one actually at times reminded me of a Italian giallo movie, like with the killer sort of being in the whole like sort of black with the sort of black mask and the black leather gloves and stuff like that. And the kills are all very simplistic for the most part. I would say my favorite kill is probably, and the whole thing that reminds me of the giallo is when he kills the friend in the video store. It just sort of gave me that vibe. But like you guys said, it was just like they said it was. They basically like right off the bat when they show Maxine as the movie literally opens with Maxine as the little girl and the father character like doing the thing. Like so, it's never like really. I knew it was gonna be him like the whole time. I never felt like it was a mystery of like a whodunit. If you're gonna do this sort of Hollywood whodunit thing, like they should have never opened with that scene. Like at least make it a little more mysterious. But that I feel like revealed it right off the bat. I'm like, oh, the father character is going to be coming back.
yeah,
And like, and Kevin Bacon hits at it like so hard. It's crazy.
yeah, that's my biggest issue with the film. Really, is that if you set him up in X and then you show him again at the beginning of the film, or at least like tease him at the beginning of the film, like why even bother showing him in shadows? We know who the fuck it is. The reason I thought it would be someone else is because they show him in shadows. Like, well, it can't be the father. That's too fucking obvious. Like, it would make no sense. So that's why I was so disappointed by that reveal, and it just didn't lead anywhere interesting either. Like when she finally meets him, it's close to the end of the movie, and then they go on this whole like weird chase. It's like they just want to get the Hollywood sign in there somehow. So I don't know. It fell flat so hard for me the last act that it hurt the movie.
I feel Kevin Bacon's way out of place too. I think Joe brought it up first. It's just like, yeah, Kevin Bacon, we all love him, but in this, he's just fucking like, what are you doing, Kevin? Like, what is your purpose in this? I know he's like the private eye for the dad character, but like even his death is just dumb because like I didn't really care. And really, like her agent is some fucking murderer that he's like mass murderer. He's done this often enough. He's like, yeah, I got a guy. We'll fucking crush him to death. No big deal. I'm like, all right. Like he had like wasted Kevin Bacon, dude.
Yeah, man, he almost felt like a parody, like at times, like of a character. It was just, yeah, this movie is really all over the place, and the more we're talking about it, I'm like, man, did I like this movie? Because like
I dropped a half star
like
already.
I like came out of it being like, all right, yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was fun, but man, like I came out being like, all right, it was fun, but I was like being like, I had a lot of problems with it coming out, and now like the more I'm talking about it, I'm like, man, maybe I had more problems than I once thought, but yeah, his like I think at the end of the day, I still like Kevin Bacon. Had that not been Kevin Bacon, I might have like absolutely despised this character. So yeah, it's interesting choice for sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing the same thing here mentally. So a lot of the things I liked about it, like I said, were the iconic LA locations, and the movie locations. But the more I think about it, the more they just feel shoehorned in. Like they didn't actually advance the story in any way. Like one of the big locations is the Bates Motel, which is so fucking cool. But they don't really do all that much over there. Like Kevin Bacon chases her into the house at one point, but then he gets caught by a security guard and he's just out. It's like, okay, you got access to it and you just wanted to film it, but you didn't actually like somehow mirror, Norman Bates' story, or I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's the whole, and Hollywood Sign was the same thing. Like, why'd they go up there really just to have it there? It's, I don't know. I guess there are some big issues, but still, like, I was enjoying the ride, but almost in the same way I enjoy a YouTube video about the Universal lot. So it's like, oh, that's the Back to the Future fucking courthouse there.
Yeah, that's fun.
This, and it's just, that's all it is, really. It's just, I
Yeah,
watched it more as a tour than I did as a fucking movie.
yeah, I think it's because we're movie fans, right? So like seeing those like iconic sort of Universal Studios backlot areas like is gonna resonate with us when we see them. I mean, it's like a love letter to sort of 80s horror in a lot of ways, this movie for sure. And just 80s like sort of that aesthetic in general. I mean, how can you like not like that, right? Like while watching it. And I think that definitely helps this movie. I think the setting, for sure, and why I was able to forgive some of it. But the more we're talking about it, I'm like, oh, it's like the the problems with it start to become more glaring, I think, the more you discuss it in a group.
Yeah, that whole sequence is it's just bad and should have been cut, honestly. Like I
You
get
didn't
why
like
they
it?
no, and I get why we see the Psycho Hotel and House because the director takes her there and gives her kind of a pep talk, right? About Hollywood succeeding. That
Yes.
makes sense. They're
And that's a
filming.
great scene, by the way, where you see Pearl. She looks up and she sees Pearl
Yeah, yeah.
in the window, kind of like
That
mother.
makes sense.
Yeah.
But like having Kevin Bacon randomly show up in the lot in the middle of the street like a fucking cowboy gunslinger, and then they sprint through the fucking like sets. I'm like, it gave me Scream 3 vibes, but not in a good way. It's like, why are we including this? It's just like a look what I got. Like I was able to film here. It didn't work, dude. Like I just did not buy it at all. And I thought that sequence was ridiculous. For one, Kevin Bacon show up out of nowhere and running through there with a fucking gun and shit. And two, because like, oh, we have to be in the Psycho House now. Like agree it's cool, but then it instantly takes you out of the film because now you kind of remember, oh, that's Psycho and blah. I don't know. It just doesn't gel, in my opinion.
Yeah, and honestly, like the more I think about it, I think it was a mistake the way Kevin Bacon played that character, right? Because I think that actually could have been a pretty scary and foreboding like type of scene had he been like had he not been sort of that yucking it up parody type character, because like a man like chasing her through the studio backlot like trying to kill her should have been scary and like tension filled, but instead it kind of came off more, he never felt that threatening, right? Like to me he's supposed to be like this sort of threatening
He's a
character.
goof.
Yeah, he exactly, and they shouldn't have played it like that. I think that was a mistake.
I think they damaged his character too. Like where you couldn't repair him after that is when she gets out of the car and beats the shit out of him. Like it was a cool like power move for MaXXXine, but for us to be afraid for her on the behalf of Kevin Bacon, it doesn't work because now you just beat the shit out of him. He's literally a bumbling fucking fool and an idiot of a person. We're not afraid of him anymore at all. Like to your point, like that scene now is no longer scary because this guy's a fucking idiot. He's a dumb fuck. Like it does, yeah, it just doesn't work. And then he fucking just dies. It's like what?
Yeah. See, now I'm like more bummed out because I really like Todd's idea of the whole like it's about more about the
cleaning
the
up
way
Hollywood.
that cleaning up Hollywood, what the early 80s were for porn stars
It would
versus
have worked, dude.
mainstream. And what I would have liked is if Kevin Bacon played a religious paparazzi person who's essentially trying to drive out MaXXXine out of Hollywood because he feels a certain way that a porn star got a leading role in a movie, and he could have been like more almost like a slasher, like the paparazzi is just unrelenting, trying to get some kind of dirt on her to get her, like, put her away. But he played it so fucking, like you said, so kind of goofy that he didn't feel scary and he didn't feel threatening, at all. And that's that. Yeah, you're right. I get what he's trying to do, like trying to be different so you don't see Kevin Bacon, but he went so far away from Kevin Bacon that it became like almost a parody of himself.
I'll tell you what, though, I would totally dig hanging out with their friend in the video store. That guy seemed pretty cool. He's just hanging out watching horror movies. I'm like, all right.
That's like what I was like in the mid 2000s, just like in a sex shop watching horror movies.
Creep.
I worked
What
there.
about
It's not like I was just there
I know.
hanging out.
Well,
Like,
Sure.
One thing we haven't even touched on yet is her horror movie she's like starring in, right?
What's
She
it
gets
called?
God, I forget.
like the heretic, like kind of heretic or
Something too.
something like scary,
It's a
religious.
sequel. It's a
Sequel.
sequel to a religious type of horror movie there. Obviously, so like she's been in porn since she moved to Hollywood, and this was sort of her big break to be in this sort of B horror movie where she can kind of be taken seriously. And I gotta say, I actually did enjoy those scenes with her and the director. It's she's a female director and kind of is talking about the struggles of women in Hollywood, and she's sort of trying to take her under her wing, but she's also a very sort of strong, like, female presence in this movie. And I really like that director character, and I liked the scenes with her and Mia Goth and sort of when they're on scene together.
I agree, and I'm always a sucker for films that have
Mhm.
the making of films within them. I wish we had more of it though. And to to add to Steve's thing too, like, yeah, that'd been fucking sick, dude. If they're doing a production and some psycho's mad about it, and then we're trying to figure out who the psycho is. That'd been cool. But fortunately, we got this stuff. Um, yeah, I mean, let's touch on the cops again real quick before we get to the ending. Like, yeah, like you guys said, completely wasted. What did they bring? The only thing they brought was killing people at the end. Right? They didn't do anything else.
I mean, it's a way to progress, I suppose, like this mystery of the murders that are happening with the not is it are they prostitutes getting killed? They're sort of sex workers.
They're sex workers because they do
Yeah.
everything. They're like
Yeah.
they do peep
Is
booths, like
prostitutes
peep
like the
shows.
wrong
They do
nomenclature
They do
these
everything,
it is
days?
now.
Steve.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
My bad.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's killing they're killing like sex workers, which shout out to Halsey for you Halsey fans. She appears as one of the sex workers that gets killed in this movie. Yeah, basically that's it. Like it's a way for them to sort of interview Mia Goth's character, MaXXXine.
Why do they
yeah.
interview her again? Why is she a suspect?
I
Because
think
she's
it's
friends with the girls that get killed, and then she gets
Oh.
yeah.
I kind of felt they were like a red herring, making everyone think that this was all about the Night Stalker, and then the last reveal was that it wasn't a Night Stalker; it was just her dad. But they didn't do a good job of it. But I think that's what the point of the cops were.
So it was a separate thing the whole time.
It was totally separate. It just
well,
happens that
I
they
didn't get
were that her dad was attacking sex workers too. So.
Got it.
Yeah.
You know it does this plot way better. Have you guys ever seen, excuse me, the movie Summer of Sam from Spike Lee?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this movie Summer of Sam like nails it with like the side plot, or not the side plot, but the underlying like boogeyman of the serial killer, and then the other people living their lives, but with the fear of that person. I think that movie does an excellent job of what I think this movie was trying to do.
Yeah, or the opening scene of the Batman, which was the Robin Pattinson one, was
yeah.
basically that like Batman can't be everywhere, but the fear of him made criminals think twice about doing jobs. And this kind of like how women felt like even though there's only one guy who's doing these killings, everyone felt unsafe because they could be that one that gets kind of the bad luck and gets the actual person. So yeah, those movies did it well. This one did not.
Want to tackle the ending?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I think it's time.
It's a sloppy one. So yeah, it's revealed that we mentioned that the killer is the dad, and he runs a kind of cult where they blame Hollywood for taking their daughters and like maybe sons, I don't know, but and making them like depraved because they're actresses in porno and shit like that, and they're all in on and all supporting killing of these women. Why are they killing the women? Wouldn't they go after the fucking execs that quote unquote turn them into bad people? Why is it the actress's fault? You're fucking stupid, dumbass. But like, yeah, it's a dad, and he's like this creepy fucking dude, and like it did nothing for me. Absolutely nothing for that dad to be the ringleader. It's just fucking stupid.
Yeah, I mean, just because I think they did a really poor job of like hiding the reveal, like hiding the mystery, right? Like I feel like they gave it away pretty much right away. So when the reveal finally happens, it's just like, okay, like cool, whatever. I love like religious cult like horror, but I agree, like it was kind of just like, like I don't know, it didn't hit like for me on the reveal or anything like that. I don't know. Like I feel like it would have been better like had we found out like fucking like Howard or like fucking someone like survived or something like that, and they were coming back for revenge on MaXXXine or something like crazy like that. Like then you would be like, oh fuck, like that would have been awesome. But just for it to be sort of the father character, to me was just rather lackluster. I really didn't like the setting either. I didn't like the setting up on like this sort of mansion on the hill. I mean, that scene like that of her kind of going up on that thing was cool. Like, which is that like a thing in Hollywood? Do people have houses where you need a fucking like ski lift thing or whatever you want to call it to get up to houses? That's fucking
Why
cool.
do the cult guys have that house?
Right. Well, how do they own that? We're like, they
That's
must.
right under the sign.
Very lucrative. That thing cannot be cheap, right? Yeah. It seems very far fetched that they would own that house.
Is it though? Have you seen these fucking preachers and what they're
Yeah, they
rocking
do make a
as
lot of money,
mansions?
right?
And
He seemed
It
like
is
though he was
true.
like a really small
Yeah, it seemed
psycho
like
kind of
I
preacher.
agree. It seemed like they were very like sort of backwoodsy, like redneckish, like not like fucking a Joel Osteen type that's fucking owning these like
mega
super
mansions.
churches. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't really buy it. I mean, that house is multi millions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why I
and
should have been
then
a producer. That he should have been the villain of this, not some random preacher.
right. What'd you think, Steve?
yeah, I hate it. I did not like this ending at all. As soon as they reveal, well, I knew as soon as like when I was sure that it was her dad was when there was like a crew that took MaXXXine, and I'm like, oh, that's just gonna be the fucking religious people that are like pawns to the leader, and sure enough, that's exactly what it was. And then the whole like witch scene, I guess, where they're trying to like burn her at the palm tree, and they have all these people there, like the cult is all like
Why?
watching and shit. It's just like, oh no, like this, it's not working for me. And then the whole chase of the Hollywood sign, like I said before, like the cops dying, didn't care. Like he's dying, okay, whatever, move on. Like it just made no sense. And then the whole thing with the helicopter like being there and shining on her, and then she blows his head off.
It's a spotlight. She wants a spotlight, man.
Yeah, I know. It was too cheesy for me. It just didn't work.
Let's back up a tad though. Why were they gonna burn her at the fucking stake? They dismembered every other girl.
She's a heretic. She's the lead. Like
She's
she's the daughter, right? She's.
So.
I don't know. I guess he felt more personal about that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like, there's a random fucking shootout for like 7 minutes in this.
Yeah.
Where like every cult guy pulls a fucking AR out of his asshole.
Oh my God.
Shooting. I'm like, what's happening now, dude? What is happening?
I love how the one cop is there thinking he's gonna take this whole fucking like crew of like 20 or 40. It was like the end of Red Dead Redemption. Like, like there's just no fucking chance in hell that he was getting out of that.
They got their little revolvers versus their like armada, like 15 dudes. And they're like, let's get him. Okay. I don't know, man. I mean, the effect was cool of her blowing the dad's head off, which
that was cool. Yeah.
I don't think she gets off that mountain, guys. I think the rest of the movie's in her head.
See, I saw you say this on your Letterboxd review, and I think it's a really interesting theory, but not one I went with.
Not
Like
one you're buying?
I never even considered it. But I guess I could see it because this was my biggest like Todd gripe of the entire movie. If she does get off that mountain, how the fuck is she not tried with murder? Like the cops are literally looking over her, being like, "You're surrounded. Drop the gun." She blows the dude's head off. The cops see that. They're not just letting you fucking skate like after that. You know what I mean? Like,
Maybe the female cop survived and said something.
I don't think she did, man. She had a fucking thing in her eyeball,
Crucifix.
and she fell.
She just
fucking,
falls down
and
the
she
fucking
fell
hill.
down the hill.
She's like, all right, my character's not needed.
Yeah,
Bye.
I don't think she's surviving that, man. Yeah, and Michelle Monaghan's a great actress.
She's
and-
fantastic. but
yeah, and she
she's
was kind of
wasted.
wasted here too. I think that's a reoccurring theme here. Like Kevin Bacon kind of wasted,
Mhm.
Michelle Monaghan wasted. Giancarlo Esposito was good in his role, but even him, I feel like could have been like you said, his hair. Like was it? I don't know. Like I guess we weren't. I wasn't alive in the '80s. Really, I was just born in the '80s, so I guess I didn't understand the fashions back then. But
I
yeah,
mean,
man, that was a big gripe for me. And if your theory is true, then okay, that makes sense. But if she does survive and get off that hill, then it makes no fucking sense to me.
well, let me explain for everyone else that doesn't have a letterbox.
Yeah, right.
So, we know that she wants to be the center of attention, right? And this is fucking it's out there. So if you don't believe it, fine, it's cool. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. Everyone can have their own opinions. But the spotlight is literally on her. And then when she's with the director, she's telling the director, "I never want it to end." And then it zooms in on her severed head. But about 5 minutes prior to that, we zoom in on the one of her friend's severed head too. The same thing. So I think that she fucking dies on that mountain, and in her mind, like she is a fucking star. She made it. Because to your point, Joe, no way she's not going to jail. No way she's gonna be fucking starring in that movie at least, because the producers didn't even want her. She's a fucking porn star. Now she's fucking killed multiple people. No way. So personally, I think she died, and the rest of the movie is in her head in the brief amount of time she's alive still. Um, but yeah, honestly, it can be just what we saw in the film, and that can be, what happened. I'm fine with it too. I do have one comment, Steve, before you go, and Joe, before you go on that. I find it very weird that she was given a VHS tape of her porn from X,
Mm.
but it was shot on, let's call it 60 millimeter. So the dad had to get that film, convert it to fucking tape, and give it to her. So that motherfucker watched her fucking dirty film. He's part of the problem. But yeah, what do you guys think about the ending?
He probably had his crew do it, to be fair.
No, he
Like,
watched it. Look at him.
yeah, that's true. Very possible. I could see what you're saying with the kind of imaginary ending, I guess you could call it, where everything in their life goes kind of perfectly from that point on. She gets she goes to the premiere, she's the center of attention, like she's, loved and everything like
Yeah, I
that.
don't buy it.
But at the same time, it's not like she just killed people. She like stopped a killer. It's not like she just killed a random person. She stopped someone who was killing other people. So I could see how people would glamorize that as well in the 80s. It's so I could kind of see it either way. To me, either of them, I'm not happy with it, so it doesn't really matter which of the two is the true story. But I certainly didn't see it that way when I watched it. I thought it was just taken kind of at face value.
Yeah, I mean, both versions, I agree. I don't like either. I think they're both not good. So if it's in her head, it sucks. If it's not, it still sucks.
Yeah, I like it. Honestly, I like that theory, Todd. And you're the only person I've heard that's kind of said that. I mean, I can see it, but it never even crossed my mind while watching it. And
I just don't trust her. She's an unreliable narrator, and I think a lot
Yeah.
of things we see from her point of
It's a
view
good
is
point.
false, because she's just so obsessed with being famous and being the it girl, which is nothing wrong if you're in porn, but that's far cry from a leading lady. And they discuss that, like, Brooke Shields and things like that. So I don't know. I just don't buy her perspective of herself. And if the final act is her perspective of what happened, I don't believe it.
Right. I mean, because it's a good point because what makes me believe, I guess, your theory is would they be premiering this sort of random ass sequel at the Hollywood Chinese theater like that with this massive red carpet premiere? and like them saying, "Oh, like they're making a movie about your life now," type thing. It does seem very
Why?
it does seem very fantastical in a lot of ways, which is why in some ways like I look at your theory and I'm like, that actually would make sense. So do you think she shot him in the head and then the police killed her like
I
when
don't know.
she shot,
I
or
don't know
like how?
exactly where it kicks off because I believe the severed head of her friend and her exact same severed head of her
Yeah.
quote unquote prop is a nod to her not being alive anymore.
Yeah, it could be.
I think maybe that final shootout never fucking happens. She gets there and she fucking gets murdered and then
You
that's
think
it.
so?
I think because I just like I said, I don't buy all the fucking fanfare about her. And then like, yeah, I forgot about them making a movie about her. Why? She's a
Mhm.
fucking porn actress. No offense if you're in porn. And then she has one supporting role in this horror film. Why are you making a fucking film about her? Because she fucking killed some psycho and it's her dad? That's fucking weird. It's not 2024 where we have true crime documentaries up the ass. It's fucking
Right.
1985, which is a fucking great year for movies, by the way. Fucking
Mhm.
Back to the Future, Day of the Dead, Fright
Yeah.
Night.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a good point how like the lasting shot of this movie, the final shot is her severed head, on the bed. Yeah, I mean it's an interesting theory, and I honestly can't say one way or the other. I think it's ambiguous, right? I think you could. I don't think you're wrong. It's kind of like how it reminds me a little bit of our, late night with the devil discussion, where I think you can't be wrong one way or the other with this. Yeah, I'd be interested to see what other people think about
If
that.
if that were Ty West's ending, though, you
Right.
don't think it would have been a little more obvious?
That's why
Yeah.
I think that's why like I'm like, I don't think that is, what he was going for. Cause like I don't think there was enough like hints there. But
Yeah.
however, I mean, the severed head, like the last shot of the severed head, I guess, but
But
like I
she
feel
she also saw her co-star's severed head.
right,
So it could have been like, hey, let's do this because this is like an
right.
homage to the actress who passed away.
And I survived. Do
Because
you, so
they do
I
that
don't know.
like
do
that
you, do you,
memorial
You're
for
gonna
that
do a
actress,
fucking severed head to the homage to a girl that
but
was
do you
murdered?
buy that? Because like she's going. Here's the thing that doesn't make sense to me too is because right, like she's going to the premiere of this movie,
Hmm.
right, at that one scene, but then we go to the next scene and she's getting ready to film the movie. So
Right.
like, how
I
could
think
she
it's
be?
a third movie.
Is that okay? Is that what it is? Okay,
Yeah,
that's like
that's how I felt. It's like
okay.
I felt it was the same movie too, but I guess it could have
It
been
could be the third movie, sure. And
she's a
now she's
Hollywood
like
it
a big
girl.
star. Okay, that makes sense.
Uh,
I didn't pick that up.
hmm,
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's either way. I agree. I don't think it's a great ending or like anything fantastic. But
yeah.
I honestly, I find the best part about it now is your theory, Todd. It's something I can talk to
But
other
I got to
people about and
rewatch it and be
dissect.
like, all
Yeah,
right, it's in her
right.
head. But that would have been cool too, man, if it was a big old reveal. Because I know you're not supposed to connect her to Pearl because it's two different characters, but you can't help but do it.
Right.
And Pearl ends with a fucking weird ass fucking scene too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't know. Just her lying, I never want to end, just rubs me the wrong way with what
Mm-hmm.
is reality. So I don't know. But like also to your point, Steve, if was it Ty West's intention? Maybe not because we already discussed like how failure is a wrong word because it's not a failure, but like how things weren't handled correctly. And for him to have a twist at the end that's so expertly put together that it's very ambiguous, only a couple people are like talking about it. It's like maybe not. I still stick with that personally because I think she's full of shit and she sees herself way above what she wants to be. And we know that because of the quote, like, don't settle for a life you don't deserve, plus her final quote saying, I never want to end. It did end. You're fucking dead. That's my
Mhm.
opinion.
All right. All right, gentlemen. I think we pretty much covered it all. That was a good discussion. I knew we were gonna get into quite a lot, and we did. So I think we have nothing left to do but
Is it
rate. Oh, you got
divisive in the
something?
community? I haven't been following it at all.
I have heard. Yeah, I think so. I've heard mixed things about it. I feel like I've heard more positive than
Hmm.
negative. There's definitely a lot of negative being spewed out there as well. We'll get into what the letterbox review is after though give our reviews. And I'll start us off. Yeah, man, we were pretty tough on this movie, I think at time but I think it was deserved. I'm not going to change my rating though. Like I am coming out of this. Like I will fully admit, coming out of the theater, I was higher on it. And then the more I thought about it, I dropped my rating before even talking to you guys, just from like thoughts and random scenes and stuff like that. And then talking to you guys, like I think I'm like, yeah, I think my feelings were valid, but I still at the end of the day think it's a well made movie. Ty West does a really good job transporting you into the 80s. Like the set designs are amazing. Mia Goth gives just another fantastic performance. I think she was great in all three of these movies. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. I don't think it's gonna make my top 10. Like I really don't. Just because of all the negative kind of stuff we talked about on it. And if it does make my top 10, it'll be low on the list. But for me, I guess we might as well rank our ratings for the trilogy at this point. I mean, I would go Pearl, X, and then MaXXXine. So unfortunately, I think it is the weakest of the trilogies of this trilogy.
Yeah, I initially reviewed it as a 3.5. I'm teetering between a 3 and a 3.5, so I'll just leave it at what it is right now. For all the things you mentioned, it looks good, it sounds good, it's acted well. It just didn't jive, right? There's a lot of things that should have been cut from this film, and a lot of retooling should have been done, in my opinion. But it's not my movie, it is, you know. So overall, between a 3 and a 3.5, and I put X #1, MaXXXine #2, and in a distant last place, Pearl.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. 3.5 out of 5. I did enjoy the experience of watching it, and I also think it's rewatchable. Like I would watch this again in like a year or two, you know. So that I think means a lot. Whereas I don't feel I ever need to watch Pearl again because I really didn't like that one, you know. And for all the reasons you said too, I love the atmosphere, the cinematography. Mia Goth has been solid in all three, even though I didn't like Pearl. I thought she was good in it. So yeah, that's all good. And my ranking, to me, it's a pretty like they're pretty far. Like X is easily my favorite, then this one, and then Far Away Pearl because I really didn't like that one. So yeah, that's pretty good.
Look at that. Me giving Pearl the #1, you guys giving it the #3. So let us know. Let us know what your rank. I want to hear all of our listeners. Give us your rankings on what you thought of the X. What do you call this? The X trilogy, I guess, since X was the first movie. Or the porn sleaze trilogy. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where Ty West is kind of hinting that maybe this isn't the end for Pearl. Or for this for the trilogy, he's considering maybe making more. I will say this was the most this was the most successful of the three movies. Box office wise, still didn't make a ton of money. I think it's 6.7 million. This weekend. It did have Despicable Me 4 to contend with, which obviously is a powerhouse. Although I don't think people going to see Despicable Me 4 are really the same audience that is going to see.
What's the budget? Did you say that already?
MaXXXine. I did not look up the budget. This had to have had a pretty big budget, though, I would think, because it looked like they spent some money making this one. While Todd's looking up the budget, though, I will say Letterboxd pretty much agreeing with us. Currently sitting at a 3.3 over on Letterboxd, so right there with us. You got that budget, Todder?
All right, so MaXXXine budget comes at, what did you say it grossed this weekend?
6.7.
Ooh, so far it's a loss. 10 million budget right now. Which
all right, it'll make its money
back. They stretched that money though. That looks really good. Yeah, it'll make its money back.
It'll definitely make its money back, and then it'll probably do pretty well once it hits VOD and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'd say it'll be in the positive for this. So maybe we'll get another one. I agree. I don't think it's necessary. I don't even know where you would go from here.
I think we're done.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like go Ty West, go start something new. But kudos to Ty West. I think he overall he made a really solid trilogy. The weakest one for me was a 3.5 out of 5. So that's something to say. And it's been fun. It's been a fun few years. It's amazing. The man literally made a trilogy in like 3 years' time. So that's super impressive in and of itself. So yeah, kudos to him, and excited to see what he does next. Right now, I think he's one of the leading voices in horror now after this trilogy. So we'll see what he does next, and we're excited for it. All right, gentlemen, I think that's it. That's going to wrap it up for this week's episode. Next week, we already know, but what do we got, Steve?
We have Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the new generation, next generation,
The next
Next
generation.
generation. Do 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 do. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to. Yeah, I'm looking forward to rewatching that one. It's been a while. So.
Same.
Mhm.
It's been a while
Same.
since I
Same.
said, do it.
But
Come
we
on.
Ooh,
might as well
yeah,
also
same.
It's
announce
been a
it
while.
early. The week after is our infamous annual Shark Week, and
Hulk
the
Hogan.
votes are going on right now. So people are voting as we record on which of the high budget movies we're going to review. And when this episode comes out, you'll still have a little bit of time to vote on which low budget shark movie we're going to review. So should be fun.
Can we
Always
just
fun.
watch Great White again?
Great White.
Or the Hulk Hogan one? Which one's that?
Cruel Jaws?
Cruel
Cruel
Jaws.
Jaws.
Great White. What am I
Yeah.
talking about?
I bought it on
Let's just watch
4K when I was in Texas. I was like,
It's so good.
I know, I love that one.
All right. So next week, go and check out Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. Oddly, I don't think it's streaming free anywhere, but it is like a super cheap price for a rental. So go and give it a rent, give it a watch. Renee Zellweger, Matthew McConaughey. How can you go wrong? We will find out on next week's review. In the meantime, you can keep up with the podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads. Just search the Horror Squad Podcast. You can also email us anytime, the Horror Squad Podcast at gmail.com. But the absolute best way to keep up with the podcast, of course, is our Discord. Completely free to join. It's linked over on our Instagram, but you can send us a DM or an email, and we will get you a link to join that Discord. Great community over there. Movie club every month, amongst a lot of other things, including behind-the-scenes stuff that you'll never hear on the podcast and whatnot. So come and join the Discord. Do not forget important dates, October 11th through the 13th. In Salem, Massachusetts, it is our It's Just a Bunch of Halloween weekend with the cast of Hocus Pocus. Head to itsjustabunchofhalloween.com for all details on that. We will get into more about that too the closer it gets, but if you haven't already, book your hotel, buy your tickets because events are going to be selling out definitely before October. Trolley Tour is already sold out. I think the Burlesque show is the next one that is going to sell out. And then probably the movie screening, which is the big one for us. We're going to be hosting that movie screening on Sunday, so come and join us for that. And I think, merch, tpublic.com, the Horror Squad Podcast. That's linked over on our Instagram as well if you want to support the podcast that way. And leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. That is it. We'll see you next week for Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.